Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go.
Hi there, it's Tracy Daviero here with you from the Ridiculously Good VA Show. And we are coming to you on video. Yes, we are. I'm doing some special interviews, starting with my friend and colleague, Wendy Harris, who has been in my VA community for a long time. And we are talking about how she got started, what she does with her clients, and what clients should know about working with a VA. I'm really excited about this little series, and I look forward to sharing information about her so that you can connect with her as well. So thank you so much for being here with us, Wendy. I'm super happy to have you share a little bit of your VA journey with us.
And I'm happy to be here.
Good, good. So I just have a few questions for you. Like I said, just a casual interview and just to get a sense of what you do and how you help your clients and that kind of thing. So why don't you just give us a little background about what you have done in your work experience and that kind of thing, and sort of what drove you to decide to open your own virtual assistant business?
So my background is in healthcare and education. I've worked as a recreation therapist for a lot of my life, as well as a senior leader in long-term care. I've also worked in education at the college level, and also as our local educator for our dementia, our Alzheimer's Society. And so what led me to become a VA is that I have been working for about 4 years with a friend of mine who has a home care business. And I've been doing a lot of the back end things, as well as team support, onboarding new team members, training, standard operating procedures, those kind of things. And around November 2021, I realized that she wasn't the only small business owner that was going to need those services. So that is really what prompted me to start my own business. I was tired of rushing to the office for 8:30 and waiting for that clock to hit 4:30, because I know what I need to get done in a day, whether I'm an employee or my own business owner. And because I'm efficient, I'm very big on systems. Like I said, standard operating procedures, I can often accomplish work quicker. And it was just that waiting for that clock to hit 4:30, for an example. And it's also about giving people back their time, because again, I realized that what it took my friend, for an example, over 2 weekends a month to do, it takes me less than 8 hours, or approximately 8 hours a month. So I'm giving people back time, which is also just part of who I am as a person.
That's, it's a very common trait of VAs to be able to sort of nail the admin stuff, right? And we do a good job of it. We don't even realize that other people don't do it as well as we do. But I love that you say that you can do things so quickly, because I was kind of the same, where, I would go into the office and I knew I was really only working like 4 hours a day or something like that. Not necessarily watching the clock, but I probably was. And just knowing that I could get that stuff done in such a short amount of time, compared to all the distractions at the office, the commute, all that kind of thing. And so I think that a lot of us get started for that kind of reason. But one of the things you said that I really like is that you knew you could help a lot more people. And I think that once I realized that too, whenever I first started my business, I didn't realize that I could help so many people. I just thought I want to do that from home. And when I realized that, wow, this is a service that this person needs, and like you said, lots of other businesses need. When you make that realization, that's a business, right? Because it's important to this person, because they're paying a staff member to do it. They were paying you or somebody else. And to be able to see that, that's when the little bell goes on and say, I can help a lot of people. I know you help a lot of people. That's really awesome. So what kinds of services are you working with your clients with right now? What kind of things do you like to do?
So I really like a variety. I do. I genuinely like those things that come up that a small business owner, Canadian business owner, can't figure out on their own. But the regular tasks I enjoy, definitely, I enjoy being creative. So, newsletters, pulling newsletters together. I'm a Canva Pro user, have been for quite a few years. So I really do enjoy making the graphics that go along with blog posts or social media posts. I do scheduling of social media posts, as well as formatting them. I help with Health and wellness, I help a lot with customer service and client care because I come from that background. I have a really empathetic nature, and I understand that a lot of people, if they're coming to, let's say, a counselor, just as an example, um, they might need a little extra time or a little extra caring, for lack of a better way to say it. And I really understand that. My background in customer service and within dementia care, within senior care, you have to have a lot of patience with people and understand that just because something makes sense to me in terms of like onboarding a new client into a new system, just because it makes sense to me doesn't necessarily mean that it makes sense to them. And it can be scary for people. So I do enjoy that. And then again, I also enjoy helping people with their personal tasks. That's certainly come up in my VA business, where a client will be going away for a couple of months on a vacation or something, and they need some help finding, shortlist me 5 people that can do this while I'm gone. I enjoy that stuff as well.
It's nice to be able to help your clients in other ways, and then the standard stuff too, right? When you were saying about being empathetic, of course, obviously that comes from your background as you described, but I think it is important to for people to realize, or for business owners maybe to realize, that is something that we are naturally drawn to do. We're support people. That's what we do. You're a perfect example of it. Of course, we've known each other for quite a few years now. And I think that that's one of the things that, if that's something that you can bring to them, you can bring that calm, and you can, sort of make people feel comfortable whenever there are a lot of steps to something, or whenever something is new or whatever. I think that's a really good quality. And I always think that that's really important to share. So thanks for sharing that, for sure.
Yeah,
and who do you like to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and even from like a course creator standpoint, when I've supported people that are creating courses, creating the materials that the learners see, not just the workbooks and the slides, like that stuff too, but also the how-to. I've done lots of screen recordings where it's like, click here, so that we can send those out to people that might be a little bit either confused about where to go, or just a little bit scared of the technology piece.
Cool,
because I have helped people who are living with dementia get on Zoom and have no problem getting there. So I know I can do it with even people who are living with a cognitive impairment, which tells me that I can do it for just about anybody.
So I was just going to say, people who don't, right? And I appreciate that. I tell the story sometimes of to my clients that I work with, that I had a client who had ADHD one time. And I loved him. He was so much fun. We met at an event, and we got along famously. And he just said, "I need you." And I said, "Great." And I was so excited. I thought that was fantastic. I couldn't help him because I didn't have, not that I'm not empathetic and not that kind of thing, but my brain doesn't break down that stuff like other people's do, right? And so I always think, and that's part of the reason that I want to do, these kind of spotlights with VAs like you, is that I want people to understand that you have to find the right VA for you. And so, although I couldn't help my friend, I helped him find other people, and he just kept saying, "They're not you, no, they're not you." I worked so hard, but it was very difficult for me. It wasn't easy at all to try to support him, because he changed his mind a lot, and because he did a lot of things last minute and all those kinds of things. And so that's just not my strength. And so when we find our strengths, I think that's what's really important for us to put forth. And that's why I want to be able to, give you that a little bit of a platform to do that, because I think we don't talk about what is different from us, and the fact that small business owners or medium-sized business owners who are looking for support don't just need to pick somebody, they need to pick the right person. So I love that. And so how about you? Who do you love to work with? Like, if you were to be able to choose the type of people that you could support and do really well, you've sort of described that a little bit already, but.
So I tend to gravitate again towards those in the health and wellness space, and those that are in the course creation, because that's where my background lays. But really, I want to work with somebody who has a vision for their business, where they want to go, maybe a little bit of how they want to get there, depending on what it is they want to do. Someone who needs regular support with tasks, like I said, newsletters, managing their emails, responding to clients and customers, those kind of things. But also people who have those one-off tasks, or those other tasks that they're just like, "I don't know how to figure this out. Can you help me?" Because I'm very good at that. I'm very good at figuring things out. I know where to go. I follow some people on YouTube that I know are experts in certain fields. So I know where to go to get those things. So I do enjoy that. Another side of the client that I love to work with is someone who does have a bigger picture in terms of, they might need some help with some strategic planning or brainstorming. I have organized strategic planning sessions in my past, when I was working in long-term care, but I do have that strategic mindset. So what I have done with plenty of my clients is, if they have an idea for something, we get on a Zoom call, we talk it out. I will share, these are some things that you should consider, and then I'll pull it together into some sort of outline that works for them. And whether or not we decide to move on it now or park it till later, it's just also getting those ideas out of their head
That's
and having
always a
someone
good thing to do. Yeah.
ask those questions, like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And there's lots of little pieces that they haven't thought about. And it doesn't mean we can't move with it. It just means we should think about these things.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a really important piece too, is a lot of business owners they still don't know that much about us, right? And I think that the pandemic, which we hate to say, there were a lot of really good things that brought light to the virtual assistant industry, but there's still so many questions. So being able to talk to somebody like you who's been in business for a few years, I think is a really good thing. And like you say, just getting those ideas out, because sometimes we have an idea about something that we want to do. I'm putting my business owner hat on now. But things that we want to do, but we don't know how to make them happen, or we don't know maybe how other people are doing them. And I think building a trust with people like that. So being an available person in a community like that, of entrepreneurs who can come to you and talk to you, whether they work with you or whether they're networking with you, but be able to get the answers that they need, because we all don't know how to do a lot of things in our business. And so we go to the experts to do that. And sometimes we don't just want, okay, here's the price tag for this, and we get it going. We do want to see the big picture. So I love that you offer that as well, and that that's something that you have some expertise with, because just being able to look at it and say, okay, oh, that makes sense, let's do that now, or let's do that in the new year, or something like that, can be really, really helpful. So that's a really awesome thing as well. So over the time that you've been in your business, how have you found your clients, or how would you advise people who are looking for a VA to look for somebody like you?
Well, I've definitely found clients through Kava,
Okay.
absolutely, through replying to the RFPs that are on the site. And then I have had a few people that have just found me through Canva and reached out. And then another, honestly, is networking. And I know, Tracy, you and I talk about that often, and I know you talk about that often with VAs. And I'm not an introvert. I actually enjoy networking. So I know that's a bit different for some people. But for me, I really do like networking in person as well as online, because I feel like it's easier for me to communicate with you in terms of what, like, know and trust, and get to know me, and within circles there's a bit more trust. And I also, although I do work as a virtual assistant, I actually do in-person things as well for clients, if they're local. So I have gone to, for an example, a healthcare fair with one of my clients, because she wanted someone else there that knew the business, so that she wasn't the only one answering the questions. So I enjoy doing those in-person things as well, but definitely networking, and not entering every networking situation like I'm going to get X clients from this, because not everybody is ready to work with a VA when you meet them, or maybe they're never, and that's okay too. Just also looking for strategic partners. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. Looking for people that I can refer people to, and that they can refer people to me.
I think that's a huge part of networking, and it's lost on us a lot. Like when you said you're not going to, go to every networking event looking for a clients. That's what makes people really dislike networking. Either the person going to the event thinking, oh, I don't know what to say, or I'm talking to the wrong person, or whatever, or the other person who is actually looking for someone. And it's very challenging. The conversations get challenging because you feel like a used car salesman, right? Which, again, there's nothing wrong with them, but I don't want to be one, and I don't want to be sold a car by one. But that's the whole point, is that the networking piece is so much about relationships. And I think, when you're talking about doing networking locally, you can build much better relationships, first of all, quickly, I think, but I also think they go deeper because people see you all the time, right? And a lot of us are online, and we're doing our networking online, which is also great and very convenient, but there's so much noise online as well that sometimes it's just really nice to get into a room with other people, have a coffee or, whatever, and just to chat. And I think that going into it with the idea of relationship building with people who can refer to you, you actually get to know the people in the group. I think that's really important too. That's really good
Yeah.
advice.
And it's really important to know the person that you're going to be trusting with your business. So I
Yeah.
think getting to know somebody, and it's not that, I mean, I can connect with people on Zoom. I mean, Tracy, you and I have never met, but
Yeah,
I feel like
we
I
never
know
have
you
met.
very well.
I know. Yeah.
But again, sometimes, yes, I'm not going to lie, it's hard. You don't want to put on your real clothes and take off your slippers, but I do actually enjoy it. I went to a great event last week with a local weekend organization, and was talking about what does it look like when you're thriving, and we wrote
Yeah.
letters to ourselves, and we did a dance move. It was wonderful. I really like connecting, and then I see these people online during the other non in-person times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's good. Somebody was telling me last week that they joined a Zoom meeting, and they're always good ideas. Somebody joined a webinar, and they said at the beginning of the webinar, which, webinars are usually a sales tool, right? And so, like I say, we shy away from a lot of salesy stuff. The very first, and I don't remember who told me this, I have to remember because I keep telling people about it. I'd really like to credit them. Is at the beginning of the webinar, they put everybody in breakout rooms and they said, introduce yourselves to each other for the first couple of minutes or something. And I thought that is such a good thing to do, because the people who are attending the event are so important. They're the important people. They're the ones you're trying to make that connection with. And I never heard of anybody doing that before. And I thought, oh, I want to steal that idea, but I need to credit the person who told me about it and find out who the person, you know what I mean? So I'm like, there's my little path to that. But so it's really important, I think, to value the people that you're spending your time with, whether it's in person, whether it's online. And like you say, online, it's easy because you can connect with them afterwards as well. And just focus on getting to know them for sure. So
I met several people last week at the event that I have talked to plenty online that are referral partners and strategic partners of mine that I'd never met in person. And seeing them and, having this one woman, Chantel, who's amazing, come up and give me a great big hug because she was so excited to actually meet me in person, because we talk all the time online. I share her content, she shares mine. And it was just really nice to meet in person.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. And I think it's very valuable. For a long time as a VA, I shied away from working locally, as I know a lot of people do. They're like, no, my clients are all here or there. I did it because I don't live I don't live in the city. And so it took a long time to get to all of the stuff that everybody wants. And for some reason, my favorite people, I hope nobody else is listening to this, that is not from that area. They're like 45 minutes away. I'm like, oh my God, it's all day to, go there and have you. So it's a lot, but they're such a great group. And I shied away from it for a long time because I didn't have that kind of time, until I realized, I came sort of full circle, I guess, and realized that was really valuable to me, and it really made a difference because I was making the personal connections with people. So I love that you do that. And I know that you do that. Of course, that's one of the things that I definitely wanted to ask you about. So let's talk about working with your ideal client. Like, if you could support the perfect person, who would that be? Or like, what would you be doing with them? How would that, if anybody who's watching this, if they want to, hear what you say and go, oh my gosh, that's me, I want to call you. No pressure.
Well, I think it's somebody who, has integrity, someone who is looking for someone that, I don't claim I'm a Jill of all trades, because I certainly am not, and I don't need to be, but someone that they would like to have in their corner as a cheerleader as well. I'm very supportive of my clients. Just last week, one of my clients was actually speaking at the event, and I made sure, to sit in the front. And I was like, and she said it really helped to have somebody there that's smiling at her. And it's not the only reason I went, of course, but so someone who is a Canadian. I do tend to work more with women, but that's just the way it's been. And someone who sees the value in getting the support in what it gives them back. So that might be time for them. It might be time to work on other projects, or time to not spend all their evenings and weekends doing doing the work, and the work that they don't often like doing, right?
I just talked to somebody who that was their biggest complaint. They said, I'm working evenings, weekends, everything like that. And when people realize that that's really not the way it's supposed to be, and it's easy to get someone to help, then that's a really important piece of the thing too.
We talk about self-care all the time. And I mean, self-care is not just getting in a bath or
getting your nails done.
Yeah. Those things are wonderful. Don't get me wrong. Getting a massage, all those things are absolutely wonderful. But it's not just what self-care. I mean, self-care is taking care of yourself, right? And if you're burning the candle at all ends, so to speak, how are you taking care of yourself? And yes, we all do it at different times, for sure. And I understand, budgets and where we are. But oftentimes, if you drain yourself, your cup's empty. So how are you pouring from it? How are you giving back to people if you are really that drained yourself? So even looking at, going in with a budget, but saying like, these are the things that really drain me. Either you don't like doing them, you're not skilled at them, they take you a long time, whatever the reason might be. If it's kind of that last thing that you tackle and you leave it to the end because you don't like it, I just don't think that many people then have the capacity to put everything that they want. I mean, most people didn't start their business to be bogged down with the things that they don't like doing or aren't skilled at doing, right? So
exactly, we all started wanting to provide the thing that we do, right?
Everybody. So I think self-care is really important for business owners. And like I said, you may not be able to get everything that you want done within your budget, but talking to me, talking to a VA, there's still lots of things that can be done.
Yeah. And I think you prioritize those things, right? Like, I think we, just like we think that as ourselves, if we're organized or if we're techie or what creative, you say, Canva Pro for years, I've been paying for it for years too, but I don't love it and I'm not good at it. But I appreciate that there are people like you out there who love it. But whatever we think we do easily, we just assume that a lot of other people do too. And so same sort of side of the coin, the things that we don't like to do, we just assume everybody hates. And it's so not true, right? And there are so many things that, like I say, the Canva example, or bookkeeping, or networking, or invoicing, or talking to, whatever it is, sales calls, whatever. There are people who thrive with that, and that's what they do best. And so if it's something that can help your business move forward by getting support, by giving you back the time, giving back the brain power, I think that's, and we talked about that a little earlier too, about the brainstorming the things that you want to get done. Getting it out of here and onto paper makes it real, and it helps you to develop a plan around it. And so I think that that's really important too. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's not, you're not asking a VA to coach you, or you're not asking them to do everything that they need. You're asking them to sort of become, I mean, in my opinion anyway, a partner with you and
Absolutely.
be able to work with you. You're going to build that trust. And it's not about them seeing the back end of your business and how messy it is. It's them being there to help tidy it up or clean it up or do the things that you need. And so I think when we make that little transition to, oh no, I can't tell anybody what I'm bad at, or I nobody will want to spend 10 hours doing this. I used to have clients who told me that it took them 10 hours to do their newsletter every week. 10 hours, like it was outrageous. And because they spent all the little time, doing everything. And I was able to turn it around. They had to write the article, but then we developed a content calendar and made things easier and more efficient for them. And they got it. I billed them an hour because that's all it took. But they thought they'd have to pay me 10, and they're like, oh, we can't afford that. Well, because you shouldn't be doing it that way. Let's find a better way. And I think that is a really important thing for people to understand about VAs too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, I also think that sometimes we're so close to our own business or our own workbook or our own whatever insert item that we don't see sometimes what it is. And so another thing that I do for, I'd say, just about all of my clients is proofreading or quality assurance, we like to call it. So I'll often just get a document and say, can you just put eyes on this? Or an Eventbrite, I need to start an Eventbrite. So can you take eyes on this? Because there's little words or things that you miss or things that you think I can't remember now what it was, but there was something that a client had used the wrong word, but spell check didn't pick it up because it wasn't
It is a
spelled
real word.
wrong. It was just the
Yeah.
wrong word. And it was throughout all of the documents. Now, I mean, I can change that very, very quickly for them. But even that, the person thought they'd had to go and find every single spot that was in
Yeah.
the document. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that.
I remember when someone taught me about find and replace,
Yeah.
I was terrified because I'm like, what if it replaces the right word in the wrong place? And it was just so funny. It was a fella who taught me. You talk about, mostly working with women and that kind of thing. I think that women tend to, and this is a generalization, I don't mean it to be, but women tend to go to those networking events,
Yeah.
the regular ones, not that it's all women, but I do see that the men they're less worried. They just do business. They're less worried about the, shaking hands and having coffee and stuff like that. Not to say that they don't, but I think that that's part of it. And so, yeah, this fellow who taught me this, I just thought, oh my God, he taught me something that, it's kind of a VA admin assistant kind of a tip. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know it. So it was pretty neat. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can people who are looking for a wonderful VA like yourself, get in touch with you? Where's the best place to find you?
I'm on LinkedIn,
And we'll
and
put your stuff too, but yeah.
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, I do have a Facebook business page, although I admit I am not as active there as I am on LinkedIn. So
Don't
LinkedIn
go
is probably
there.
that's the best place probably to have a conversation. Otherwise, well, my website that you can link and email is also a way to reach me. And then,
Perfect.
I always want to set up discovery calls with people because you touched on this, but it's not just about someone that can say that they've got the skills or that they know how to do XYZ, because goodness of fit is so important for me and for them. There have been clients that have come to me that I have not taken on because I wasn't the right fit. And I will help you if I can. Say I point you towards Cava often to place an RFP, but I think goodness of fit and just knowing, like thinking about the information that you're handing over to a VA and thinking about security and all of those kind of things that often people don't. So a discovery call, I feel, is essential to get a good feel for somebody.
Yeah, and it's so important in a lot of industries, but I really do think, to your point, that when you're letting somebody into your stuff, there are obviously setups that we need and ways that we need to do that, which we don't have to talk about, but it is important, and that is sometimes a barrier to people hiring someone because they don't know how to do it properly or that it can be done safely and that kind of thing. And so I think that and so many more things can be talked about on a discovery call. And I think a discovery call too, it's not, you don't necessarily have to end up signing on the dotted line at the end of it. I think it can be very informational for both parties, but especially for the clients who are maybe nervous about working with somebody if they've never done it before or if they've been burned before, right? One of my questions I always say whenever I'm talking to someone is, have you worked with a VA before? How did it go? And I remember one of my clients told me, she said, my husband is he's not optimistic that this is going to work out. She was so lovely. And she said, my husband is not optimistic. She said, you're my third VA. And in whatever it was, a year or something like that. And she said, he says it's me, but she says, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to take your husband's side yet because we want you to be the client. But she said, he's absolutely sure it's me. And I said, well, I would like to think when I work with my clients, I work with them for a long time. And I said, I would like to think that it probably wasn't you and that there were things that maybe they missed in communication or whatever. And we ended up working together for 9 years. So I used to say to her all the time, I used to tease her and say, go tell your husband that it's not you. It didn't end up being you, either that or you finally found me, and I think, but a fit is really, really important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I also like to form long-standing relationships with my clients. And, some of my clients are more ad hoc as needed, so to speak. They'll buy a package of hours and use as needed for sure. And those clients, I appreciate them and I enjoy working with them just as much. But I do enjoy working longer term with people. And I too have had the experience of working with people who have burned before in the past. And it's always makes me sad because I'm like, it doesn't need to be that way. You don't need to hire a VA full time. Like You don't need to sign on a year contract necessarily. You don't have to do these things. If that's what you want to do, because let's say you need to have the longevity of service to see results in the project that you're working on,
right,
for sure. But it's just unfortunate that some people feel like that's the only way to go.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that showing that perspective, and like I say, that's part of the reason that I share so much, and that I'm hoping to be able to share the opinions of other VAs as well, because I think it is important to recognize that we're not all the same. Like, there are so many people who, and because of course I come into contact with a lot of business owners as well, talk to them all the time about working with a VA, and they just think that we all do everything. Not, and again, it's a big generalization, but it is true, where they think that we just do it all, either that we have to or that we do, and I don't need all of that, or whatever it is. And I think that when we can get people like you talking out about what you do and what you don't do, or that type of thing, and how important fit is, and how important skills are, and all that kind of thing, I think that is when the business owners get to make a better decision for their own business, right? So
absolutely, because you know what's important for your business, or you're in the process of determining that. And I always, sometimes I'll say, like, that's an A+ skill, or that's like a B- skill. Like, it's not something I do every day, because it might not be the most important part of their business. I may not need to have A+ skills in a task, because that may not be what they need. But again, it's about finding someone, I think, that can be very honest about those things as well, because we aren't experts in everything. But just being honest about those things, I think that's one of the things that I pride myself on, is being honest about what I know how to do and what I'm good at.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that quality too. So, all right. So I want to be mindful of our time for sure. Is there anything else that you want us to know about Wendy Harris?
What to know about me? I think I am just who I am. I don't pretend to be somebody else, and I'm a positive person. I really do try to look at the positives. And failure is not a bad thing. Failure is how we learn. So I feel like, even if a business owner had an idea that didn't work the way they thought it was going to, it doesn't necessarily mean we need to scrap it all together. But coming back together afterwards and saying, okay, what went well and what didn't. And I find that solo entrepreneurs often need that sounding base. I mean, I know I do. That's why I've been a part of the mastermind as a VA, and I have the connections with other VAs and other entrepreneurs, because it can be a lonely space if you're just on your own. So I guess that's me in a nutshell. I'm not sure what else.
That describes you pretty well. I think that's pretty good. And I love your positivity. Obviously, you've been in my community for a long time, and I appreciate you holding people up all the time and offering good solutions to things. I would wholeheartedly recommend you for anybody who was looking to get some feedback on things. I think you're really objective, and I think that you do look for the positive, and you are connected to a lot of people. I think that's one of the things that has really come from the networking that you've been telling me about, is that you're connected to a lot more people than just clients, in all the things that you do. And I think that that's important, because I think that you are a good voice for our community, our industry for sure. And I think that you're really helpful for the clients that you're coming into contact with, and being able to be an advocate for us, to them, and for themselves as well. So I love that. I really appreciate you being here with us today. And I look forward to sharing you with the world, because I think that you're going to do great things. And I think that there's a whole lot of people out there that need to know about you and connect with you. So we will put Wendy's details below for you to connect. So
thank you. And I appreciate doing this with you, Tracy. It's always great.
Nice. See you later.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more great resources for your VA business, visit my website at yourvamentor.com. I'll see you back here next time.